Tonight, COP Judge Akufo Dampari, Ghana's next IGP. We now have confirmation from the presidency announcing this new major appointment. And Top Story is always brought to you by Gas and Cement. The Nation Builder is also brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. In the last few minutes, the presidency has announced Ghana's new IGP. He is in a person of COP George Akufo Dampari. The news broke more than less than an hour ago here on Jaw News that, of course, he's going to be taking over from the current IGP who has been on contract for close to 2 years now. That appointment is now official. My colleague Raymond Akwa joins me in the studio with a statement from the presidency. Raymond.
Certainly. It says here President Akufo-Addo appoints COP George Akufo Dampari as acting IGP, and there's another appointment in the prison service too. It says Deputy Director General Isaac Kofi Eju as acting Director General of the prison service. The details are the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has directed the Inspector General of Police, Mr. James Opombuanu, to embark on terminal leave with effect from Sunday, 1st August 2021, pending his retirement from the police service on Thursday, 7th October 2021, until a substantive Inspector General is appointed in accordance with the dictates of the Constitution. President Akufo-Addo has asked Commissioner of Police George Akufo Dampari, PhD, to serve as acting Inspector General with effect from Sunday, 1st August 2021. The President has also asked the Director General of the Prison Service, Mr. Patrick Darko Misa, to go on terminal leave from Sunday, 1st of August 2021, with his retirement from the service set to begin Saturday, 16th October 2021. He has therefore directed the Deputy Director General of the Prison Service, Mr. Isaac Kofi Eju, to act as Director General of the Prison Service from Sunday, 1st of August 2021, until new Director General is appointed. Also, in accordance with the Constitution, President Akufo-Addo has conveyed in person his gratitude to both Mr. James Opombuanu and Mr. Patrick Darko Misa for their dedicated and meritorious services to the nation and to the police and prison services, respectively, and wished them the very best in their future endeavors. And it's signed by the Director of Communications at the Office of the President, Eugene Ahim.
So that is the formal communications on the appointments of two high-level individuals. But of course, of major interest to all Ghanaians is the appointment of Dr. Dampari as the acting, and I must emphasize that, acting Inspector General of Police. But it's interesting the context in which this appointment is made. Where the presidency, in this statement signed by Eugene Ahing, who is the Director of Communications Office of the President, talks about the direction to the serving IGP, the current one, to James Opombuanu, to embark on a terminal leave. In a sense, he's been asked to go on leave, from which he won't return.
That's
essentially that's it. But we also know that he has been on contract.
Yeah. So ahead of the contract ending somewhere in October, he's actually supposed to go on leave now. On the 1st of August is what we are actually looking at. Yeah. The 1st of October is the period we are looking at now. The interesting part is that, of course, I mean, there was a lot of talk about the tenure of the current IGP and why he needed an extension when others were there for the appointment. People raised the age issue too along the line, and that the extension was going to be problematic because those on extension end up acting and suiting the will of the executive presidents and the executive in government. But all of that was actually wished away when the president extended his tenure. It's unclear in this statement why, and interestingly, it's not as if he's been isolated for this and for whichever consideration they are given here. Two of the gentlemen, the gentleman for the prison service, Misa, and both the current IGP, are actually supposed to be ending their tenure in October, but appear to have been given the indication to leave office in the first week of August, specifically on the 1st of August, which is when the new appointment also is taking place. And of course, some reasons have not been given for it. It is only being clearly dictated here that the president was very grateful for the services that the two have actually given out to the Republic of Ghana and thanked them for that particular commendable service that they had delivered. We all know that the current IGP's tenure had some difficulties, especially in the last few months. Pronouncements and other issues that have come up, people have questioned whether or not the security of the state was in the very best of hands, mindful of what was happening, right from the attacks on the police, the attacks on citizens, and the most recent Ejura indications had actually compounded. Proud to even that, there were some security issues like robbery, which many felt was on the high. And you remember the debate on whether or not we had insecurity in the country, and the police's response to some of these issues maybe might have contributed to the decision by the executive head of the country. But it was not stated in that particular document that was shared with us, Evans.
And Raymond, for those who are joining us who may not know who Dr. Dampare is, let's go through what we've managed to find out about him. There's a great list of sterling performance as an individual in his field. What do you know about Dr. Dampare?
So we understand that he's the youngest acting Inspector General of Police when he takes office to be appointed in the Fourth Republic, and the eighth youngest since Ghana gained independence. Prior to this appointment, he was the most senior police officer after the just retired IGP. Dr. Dampare joined the police service as a constable in December 1990 at age 20 and rose through the ranks to become Commissioner of Police 24 years later at age 44 in 2014. This rank he held until this particular appointment just announced in 1991. On completion of his recruit training, Dr. Dampare was adjudged the overall best recruit at the National Police Training School and won all awards except the award for the best marksman. And again, in 1996, he emerged the overall best cadet for the 32nd Cadet Officers Course at the Ghana Police Academy, which was known previously as the Police College, and won all awards, including excellence in professional police subjects and excellence in academic subjects. During his over 30-year career as a police officer, Dr. Dampare has made significant contributions, specifically at the leadership and management level, and he had the real privilege of serving as head of the Director General of almost every department, and specifically, let me name them: Director General for Administration, which is currently the position he's moving on to become acting IGP from, and the Director General for Welfare twice. He also served as Director General for MTTD and the Director General for Research and Planning. He was also Director General for Operations, ICT, and later on, at a point in time, the Director General for Finance and Director General for National Patrol Department, which used to be known as the Police Visibility Department, which he was very instrumental in the setup.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn about him, and we will put that all up for you on myjournalline.com. But one of the key things I've said about him that I know of is the right man for the right time, because of the police, where the police is currently in their relationship with the citizens. Let's bring in Professor Ening with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He joins us via Zoom right now. Dr. Ening, thank you for your time here on Top Story. What first? Give me your reaction to the news tonight. The official statement is now in from the presidency, asking upon Bueno to proceed on terminal leave. In his stead, the president has made the appointment of Dr. Dampare, who is going to be the acting IGP. Your reaction to that?
Well, this is something that those of us who have followed the Ghana have expected for. Worked with him. He's made of steel, and he's driven by a desire to put his personal and professional, competences at the beck and call of the state. Now, when I say professional and personal competences, the Ghana Police Service over the last couple of years is an institution that does not generate confidence. Dr. Dampare seeks to turn that round. But even more importantly, in the different positions that he has served, Dr. Dampare has demonstrated an ability to take on those who think they have power and will not follow. I can assure you that I see a Dr. Dampare, even as an acting IGP, doing what is professionally, morally, and ethically correct by his personal standards and by the standards of the Ghana Police Service. So there's a lot that we can expect from Dr. Dampare, but more importantly, although you haven't asked me, let me take this opportunity first to congratulate him on this appointment, but to give him two pieces of advice. First, I will hold his feet to the fire. I will continue to critique him and advise him, but he should know coming from somebody who wishes the best for him. Secondly, he must seek to build a Ghana Police Service that when he goes on pension and he's taking a walk at night, in the afternoon, at dawn, he will be confident of walking his neighborhood because he has left behind a legacy of a competent, effective, responsive Ghana Police Service. That is the challenge I leave with Dr. Dampare, but I'm very hopeful, I'm optimistic. This is one of the better appointments in a long while, and kudos to those who made the decision and the recommendation. And I look forward to engaging with Dr. Dampare and giving him some advice if he needs it.
And Prof, what about the timing of his appointment? I mean, it's coming on the back of a very strained relationship between the police and the citizens. We've seen IDRA, we've seen the Fix the Country, and other instances where the tension between the police and the citizenry and the lack of trust has, it's arguably, dare say, it's an all-time low. How much of a difference does the appointment of Dr. Dampare make to this particular narrative?
Evans, let's not forget that this is the first time in probably 12 or so years that we are getting an IGP who has not passed the retirement age. So it helps to send a signal to the service that meritocracy, that professionalism does matter, and that at certain points in time, the institutional rules will be made to function. So by virtue of the fact that he is still in active service, and this is not a gift in which he is necessarily beholden to those who have appointed him, it strengthens his hands to deliver. But also that the Ghana Police Service at this point in time is at its lowest ebb in its history. Devoid of direction, providing multiple excuses for its own failures, releasing sensitive intelligence into the public domain without even knowing it, an inability to protect its own staff who are on the front line, but even equally disturbingly, a service that has lost its institutional ethos to deliver the service that they are mandated by the Constitution and by its own institutional regulations. But it is not just the institution itself that has failed. The Police Council has also failed to generate and to provide leadership. The Police Council's inability to provide strategic direction over years has contributed to undermining the capacity of the institution to provide us with the protection. But it's not only the Police Council. The Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior has also failed to play its oversight functions consistently over time, refusing and failing to request that annual report relating to the performance and delivery of its services. So I'm hoping that Dr. Dampare realizes the stack of documents in his in-tray, documents that speak to public opprobrium, to public disappointment, but also to public expectations that this is a man whose track record from when he was in Accra, and people thought he had been shunted into the boondocks when he went to the Command and Staff College in Winneba, transformed this college and played it on it. Also a Dr. Dampare, who on the Spintex Road on several occasions has stopped people and important people who have sought to flout the traffic regulations because they thought they were in more of a hurry than those who were in trotros. So Dr. Dampare's appointment today sends a signal that things will be done right. And from tomorrow, we will see police officers standing taller, standing firmer, their backs straightened, their uniforms cleaner, and not taking the bribe along the road like that police officer just after Apam Junction who sought to intimidate me and destroy my life because it was a Friday and I refused to pay him a bribe. Those people in the Ghana Police Service have their days numbered because they are the people whose performance will threaten Dr. Dampare's success and he will not accept it. So tonight, I am a very satisfied man and kudos to those who made this appointment. I wish Dr. Dampare the very best.
And Professor Aini, there's another dimension to Dampare's appointment that I want to pick your thoughts on. I mean, rarely have we had an IGP who we know is boots on the ground. He himself has been on the front lines, himself arresting people. And a case of the murder of the former MP comes to mind, Raymond. That's J.B. Danko-Edu. And the swiftness with which Dr. Dampare, then the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, correct, Raymond,
Yes.
has swung into action and had apprehended a key suspect who we know is still on trial.
Yeah.
And he showed that capacity, not to be a police commander who simply, armchair giving orders, but he himself. I remember that classic picture that he was in when the man was arrested in the neighborhood. He himself was there leading his men. I mean, how much of an importance is that in boosting police morale when they have a man who himself has been with them on the ground in the dirt, effecting arrest and putting himself on the line in the line of fire in harm's way also?
Well, that is the type of leadership that we are looking for. Not a leader who is theoretical, who sits in the comfort of his or her office and issues instructions that he or she is not willing and prepared to subject himself to. And it's not just about the murder of J.B. Dampare. On the day that J.B. Dampare was murdered, Dr. Dampare had asked me to come and speak to his men about strategic and operational intelligence and the manner in which things could be, that this knowledge could be translated into practice. I got a call around 4:30 or so that something had happened, so we had to postpone. Now, I was impressed by the speed with which he himself got onto the ground. Furthermore, there have been several instances at a point in time when he was head of some rapid response team dealing with land garrison. He always led his men to a place of crisis. So we are going to see an IGP who will be hands-on, who will be in places that people don't expect him to be, without a 9-car convoy, with heavily armed people, intimidating guys in the traffic, and driving those of us who pay taxes to the state of Ghana off the road. An IGP who follows the rules that have been made for all citizens of this country is an IGP who will be successful because the public sees him following the rules. And Dr. Dampare has demonstrated over time that he's not only a rhetorician and academician, but also that he's a practical man. He's a practical man to the extent that he also has a duty of care for the people who are under him. And over time that I've been interacted with him, the welfare of the men and women that he leads are always at the forefront of his mind as he plans an operation in which he himself will take part. So he's not issuing instructions that will place his men and women in danger without he being there himself. And that sends a signal of the confidence with which he himself places in his operational plans and in the execution of those plans. So that now that an instruction has gone to the banks, purchase bullion vans, else I will not put my men at risk for you to make profits. The signal is clear. I am willing to give Dr. Dampare about 8 to 12 weeks as he sits in that hot chair and gets a better grasp of what goes on in that office. And I think we are going to see dramatic changes in the way that policing is done. Hands-on, sensitive, respectful, collaborative, but all predicated on the law. That the law becomes the fulcrum around which policing is done. And I think the people of Ghana can expect a policing that responds to their daily challenges and their daily experiences.
Professor Enning, thank you very much for your insights into his appointment tonight. I'm grateful that you could join us with those thoughts. And there's more on PM Express later tonight. Dr. Enning and a few friends in the security arena will join me to analyze this new appointment and what it means for your own security. You want to join us then at 9 p.m. for that. But Raymond is still with me in the studio on the night when we're getting a new IGP. He's going to be in an acting capacity, but it's Dr. Dampare. And you've heard Professor Enning spell out what you can expect of this man and who he is and what he stands for. One of the things that you can bet your life on is that this is not an arrogant person at all. This is going to be possibly one of the most accessible IGPs you can ever find anywhere else, for a very, very long time. And Professor Enning Raymond talks about an IGP who will not lord it over us and drive through traffic with armed escorts, etc., etc. There's evidence of this. He actually trended for the right reasons when everybody else was abusing sirens, and he is entitled to one. Decides to stay in traffic.
Yes, there was the viral video, and many congratulated him for doing that. And the very spectacular part of it was that this was heavy traffic. This was something that ordinarily his colleagues or some others, even who are not entitled to use the sirens, have been abusing for some time now. But actually, it added up to the many things that people have known him for. You do recall the very video to do with him assuring a certain police officer who was not well and visiting them as well when he was head of welfare, going to their homes and assuring them of better healthcare, improving the structures that are supposed to be delivering the healthcare to them.
And Prof. Vinny makes a very important point on that, because morale in the service is important. Because this again is about a police service that often the people who serve us, they are in harm's way 24/7.
That's true.
It's literally put their lives on the line for us.
And they need the assurance.
They need the assurance. I mean, the ability to acknowledge that the man who is leading me, I'm willing to lay down my life for him because I believe in leadership is key. Because he's shown, as you mentioned, when was director of welfare, initiated this process where Dodo and Kaswa to reclaim lands owned and paid for by police officers, but it's become controversial. People are encroached on. He fought for them.
That's true.
And then you mentioned still at welfare, where he introduced this innovative social welfare scheme where he had led officers from the department to visit the homes of scores of sick and bedridden police officers across the country, and also introduce strategic medical interventions to facilitate their wellness.
And let's also get to know clearly that for we the ordinary people, and more recently when there were incidents of crime across the country and many were complaining about what they consider to be insecurity. Now, as the Director General of the National Patrol Department, which was the police visibility, and under the leadership of then IGP Mohammed Al Hassan, he supervised the implementation of that novel idea, police community presence and visibility, and people call for that to be brought back, and saw the presence of police personnel in the various areas across the country. I mean, he also during that period created what was supposed to be a specific unit, public safety training school at Polugu, where as the leader of the technical team ensured the full operationalization of those specialist training for police in those departments relevant.
Listen, more reaction to this major appointment on Newsnight, which starts in 2 minutes.
Business a bit news to say. So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year. A bit me kasa say.
Nana, who's not land you? He did a port right.
A bit me to say.
Here are your items. Thank you for coming.
A bit me kasa say.
Yes, 2 for 10 cedi. Me and 10 cedi. 2 for 10 cedi.
What did you know? A bit